conversations.
So we begin our series this morning with Mr. Michael Ohene-Effah on midlife crisis and men rediscovering purpose. Over to you, Mr. Jamai. Upon Pepra. Midlife crisis.
Now you're calling me Mr. Ajima.
Yeah.
The way people call me most of
I've
the
been
time.
getting it wrong all this while.
Sunny for them. We are Ajima. When they go to ManCode Conversations, they've added the Mr. to my name.
So we are live on Facebook, on YouTube.
Yep.
You can also watch us on Sunny TV.
But Michael, these two messages that we just listened to, which one stands out for you? Hopefully, if we get one more that drops in along the way, I think we're going to look at it as well.
It's a difficult choice.
Yeah.
I think both illustrate the very important role that fathers play. The first one is very phenomenal. I mean, somebody fathering a lady he wasn't the biological dad of, but took her, mentored her, coached her, supported her. And as the lady said, even at some point, she went to live with him. I mean, that's a very exceptional fatherhood. And shows that fatherhood is not biological. You can actually play the father role, even if the individual concern is not your biological child. But I like the second story too because of the role that fathers ought to play, being the prophet and the priest at home. And I think that is what engineer the ladies.
I missed the name as well.
Yes, the lady's father did. That at the very crucial period of her life, her father stood in the gap and virtually stood as the bridge between life and death. And I think that is what men are supposed to be. We are supposed to speak life into our children. We are supposed to speak life into young people. And so that's very emotional. It touches a very deep part of me. So both of them are exceptional. It's a really difficult.
Maybe we're going to wait for a third and see.
Exactly, and then we'll see whether there will be a tip.
if it's going to tip a little. But then, I mean, it's 18 minutes to 9, and we are on our ManCode series for this month of June. Yeah. Today, we're looking at midlife crisis and rediscovering purposes. Michael, if you can help us and start it. I mean, before that, let me say thank you to all the amazing companies that are supporting us for the ManCode series and for the Man Cave season as well. We've got J. Ray Gate Fashion House who are supporting us. Big thanks to them. We want to say big thanks to Kingsman Shoes as well for supporting us with some shoes for our fathers. Jenny, can you help us with the few who are also supporting to push us through on our ManCode series right here on radio?
So we also have Ezell Fashion. Ezell Fashion is also holding us down for this year's Man Cave, ManCode conversations, as well as the Man Cave Fest. We're looking forward to J. Ray Gate Fashion House, of course, Golden Bean Hotel. They're on standby for a father to come by and enjoy the weekend stay. Thank you to Fidelity Bank as well. Yeah,
and to Fidelity Bank as well. Michael, I mean, help us.
Have you mentioned Starbites?
Starbites, who are
Starbites
going to be doing something wonderful with us on the Father's Day itself, that Father's Day morning. We've got something coming up, so keep your dials locked right here on Sunny. Michael, help us. I mean, I would want you to start us with what midlife crisis is even all about, because sometimes you find some men doing something and somebody says, oh, he's in midlife crisis. This is midlife crisis. I mean, please define it for us, whether scientifically or any way you can define it for us.
Well, I won't define it. I only borrow from the works of others before me. But generally, they say that midlife crisis happens between 40 years and 60 years. So that's why it's mid. In countries where life expectancy is around 90, 80, thereabout, around 40 to 60, you would have lived, maybe you'd have worked and income for about, say, 20 years. If you start working around 20, or let's say 25, by 40, 45, you'd have worked for 15 years. By 60, you are near retirement. So basically at the twilight of your life. That's where the crisis comes in. The crisis comes in because people have reached a junction where they must, this is the way I see it, they reach a junction where they must face three roads. And that's where the crisis comes in. So you are looking back at your life, over your life, and saying, did I make this choice well? Did I decide well? Some even begin to question their life partner, the choices they made in their life partner. And you are wondering, hey, this woman that I went for national service and something happened and I got stuck with her. Did I really do? So it's a period of reflection, looking back at the road that you have trodden and asking yourself some of the choices that you made and how that has influenced where you are at that junction. Then the second road you look at is forward. You begin to feel anxious about the future. Around 40, 50, thereabout, you have started seeing retirement and you are wondering, or you are at the very, the last junction, the last gate before retirement. And sometimes you are wondering, do I have a house? I've been living in a government bungalow, or this was the kids' school. If you have some naughty pension baby, around that time, that baby is in junior primary, and you are wondering, hey, I have 5 years to go.
You're looking at the baby and like, did I have to do this?
Daddy.
So you see, you'll be there reflecting and thinking about all of these things, and this innocent baby will try to hug you and try to tug at your trousers, and you're like, hey, free me, so and it's not because that baby is actually reminding you of something that you are going through, and most men will be doing that kind of thing. You are looking at the future. Around that time, if your kids are in senior high, you are wondering, hey, I have 8 years to go to retirement. When am I going to be able to take care of these senior high university kids? So there's a lot of anxiety about the future. And then the third gate you are looking at, or the third road you are looking at, is the present. You are looking at your present circumstances, your job, your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your children, and all the other things that you are going through. And you are beginning to question, that's where the lack of fulfillment comes in. And so you are at this junction where you are facing three roads and you are wondering, where am I? Where am I going? And will the choices that I'm making today lead me to do so? So that is where the crisis comes in. So it's a period of anxiety, reflection, and introspection. Looking at whether where you are will lead you to where you want to be. This was coined by a psychologist called Jacques Selliot in the 1960s, that she was seeing a lot of late 30s people going through a period of depression, because at that time you are wondering whether you are on the right track, you are wondering whether your profession itself, whether it fulfills you and whether it will help you in the attainment of your life dreams and life goals. Now, what I have seen in my work as a trainer is that, sometimes people don't choose their professions. Mostly in Ghana, it starts from the courses that we read at the university. So you want this course, but the university says, based on your grade, you are given this course. So that in itself takes you off guard.
Yeah.
And so you pursue a certain course that you had no intention of pursuing, but you were given the course. And that kind of shapes you a little bit. And then when you finish school, you write 30 applications. And let's say the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology is the one that invites you for a job interview and gives you work. So you start work, then you are stuck for 20 years. You have no interest in the work. When you go to work, because that's not what you really want to do. You are a poet or a musician or somebody at heart, but that's what life has thrown at you. That's the deck of cards that life has given you. And so a lot of people are in careers that they had no interest in pursuing, but that's what life threw at them. And then, yes, you get there and you start progressing and you start doing well and you live in a government bungalow, and so it's okay, but you are not fulfilled. There's no inner joy, inner fulfillment. That is the trap that I see around. You know, that most people, for instance, if you were to go to the average teacher training college and interview them, I'm sure 7 out of 10 will tell you that they have no interest in the teaching profession. It is just life circumstances. And so you would spend 20 years teaching and you have no joy in the way. When you reach that between 40, 50, you go through a midlife crisis, because you go and teach just to get by. You have no, it doesn't fulfill you. And when you reach there, you're like, okay, so what's the point? What's the point? So we need to go back if we want to resolve this issue. First of all, by this habit or practice of the university just throwing things at people, because it is killing a lot of people. And one famous author said that most people die at 25, but they are buried at 80.
If you just joined us right here on Sunny FM or live on Sunny TV, we're on our ManCode series. We're looking at midlife crisis and rediscovering purpose, which is very, very important. You can join us live on Facebook, Sunny 88.7. You can share this link for a friend, for a father figure you know, to listen in on this conversation. Michael, there are clear signs. Can you I mean, maybe help us with a few? Because sometimes you find a man in a certain posture and then we just say, he's in midlife crisis or something. Are there visible signs that a man listening now can even know that, listen, this is not what is happening to me. I'm just at this stage in my life.
The first one is that we go through a period of, and I say we because I'm in that band. We go through a period of deep thinking, introspection, reflection, because you now begin to question the choices you've made in life. And so that's the first thing. You begin to think more and reflect more about life, what is ahead of you and what you are into at the present. Then there's a feeling of deep sadness and regret. As I said, some will regret the professions that they are in or the jobs that they are in. Some will regret the life choices, some of the things that are happening to them because you were transferred to Sunyani. When you went there, some one came there, then you went to Aflao, and then Aflao to something came there. So you begin to question some of these things. You're like, I made a mistake, So regret, sadness. There's, as I mentioned, irritability. You begin to get angry with your spouse, with your children, with your colleagues at work, because you are in this space, of reflecting. And so when people interrupt it with, questions, conversation and stuff, you tend to get a bit angry. You tend to get a bit irritable at people for no reason. There's also nostalgia. And that's what actually also gives people some semblance of depression, because you begin to reminisce over, their life when you were in secondary school, when you were in the university, your hall and all of that, because you don't find meaning in the present. And so you find solace in nostalgia. You begin to look back and you begin to cherish past instead of enjoying the present and the present moment. Some men become very impulsive and indulgent. So they want to build the biggest house in the neighborhood, in the street, because that is what will give them, something. They will buy four-wheel drives that they have no money to finance, and they are always being chased around. Some will do things just to let the external validate a very deep sense of longing that they don't have. Some changes in sexual desire, either it spikes or it dips. Either it spikes or it dips. And when it spikes, you begin to want it more. And if your spouse, on the other hand, is also not in a space to do that, and then we know what will happen at that point. Some also just lose interest completely because they are in deep space where they are regretting and they are thinking and they are reflecting. And so that is the last thing on their mind. And then we see changes in ambition in some men, because now you are like, okay, I have 10 years to go to retirement. What can I do? Maybe let me start a side hustle. Let me start this business that I have always put off. Let me do something. So some men may become ambitious, others to lose ambition. That is if they allow the nostalgia and the regret to eat them up instead of propelling them to, rediscovering their selves and their purpose.
You know, Michael, talking about all that you've spoken about, I have a feeling, Jenny, society has a big role to play in men either getting there faster or, I mean, how does this, yes, really, how does the society play a role in men kind of, getting there? Because now I'm thinking about some people I know. Now I'm thinking about myself.
I've read that it starts at 40. I think I've seen some men that's at 25. I'm like, hey, what's happening here? 35. Yeah.
Because Michael, there's a whole masculine, kind of phase given to the man.
Yeah.
And so you're 40 and you're supposed to have A, B, C, D,
That's
or
right.
that.
That's
Even
right.
for some, you're supposed to have been married already. You're still, how does society kind of play bigly in this at this stage?
It does. I think you are right. It points out in the pressure that we give to men, and then also in the expectations that we have of men. And so Bemansu, and we have carried this from childhood. It's become a belief such that when men are in emotional turmoil, they don't seek help. Because Bemansu, a man must take it, raw, and so a lot of men are acting. When they have deep issues, they can't reach out. So that's the first thing, that there's a lot of pressure to man up. There's a lot of pressure to mask up and be the man. And so when you have financial challenges, emotional challenges, health challenges, and this, we hardly talk about it. And even when we talk about it to the wrong audience who prefer the wrong solutions for us. So that's the kind of role that society plays. Now, we need to let men be human instead of letting men be men, because men are human. They have everything else. We need to let men get in tune with their emotions so they can better express it. And we need to support that process. I'm sure if you were to call a female colleague and say, look, there's a heavy burden on my heart, can I just talk to you? And you start crying, she will go like, what's happening? I'm sure she will tell other people that, Charlie, this guy is because the expectation is that you should not be vulnerable. Exactly. But if a lady did that, there would be a lot of support because, ladies are the weaker vessel. They are so there. But if a man needed to be like, it's unheard of. You are not supposed to do that. And so this thing where we have maxed up and are not expressing or being in tune with our deep emotions adds to the turmoil, the stress that a lot of men are going through. And then you talked about the expectations and the pressure of you should have had a house, you should have bought a car, you should have been in this kind of place, you should have been in this kind of profession, you should have married. Your
children should have been in that school by now.
No, first is you should have had children. And then they should have been in this school. Exactly. So you have a civil servant whose salary is not this, but if he's an assistant director or a senior officer, his children must not be in a public school. So you take them to a private school, and then there's a lot of financial pressure, and you are forced to do, so this thing where we kind of have a certain boxed view, expectation of what a man should look. That is what is killing a lot of people. So we are, we've taken mortgage that we are struggling to pay because we must, now who officer, now who manager, why are you using, October 2011, I was governance advisor for Department for International Development. The very day that I started work, do you know the car I went to buy? Picanto. That very day. We used to close at 3:45. So I closed at 3:45 and I had already planned it. I used, for the period I was governance advisor, my car was a Picanto.
People wonder.
Yes, and people used to query me, no, there must be something.
Did you have a car before the Picanto?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you had settled for this one for work?
No, that was the car I drove.
You had been driving the entire
Lisha
time.
had a car.
Okay.
Lisha had a car, but I decided that I would use a Picanto for about.
I'm just imagining Michael in a Picanto where his
he's
knees
a tall man
are going
too.
to be. He's a tall man.
Watch 90.
And I did that. Two of my colleagues also went to get it. They were like, and I remember in 2011, I used to spend 43 cedis a week on petrol with my Picanto. You see, when you are grounded, you don't allow certain people's expectations to shape your life choices, because that's where the crisis is coming from. That's where the pressure is coming from. When you want to live, and I told people that it is my way of staying grounded. I don't want this post to enter my head and go and get some car that I can't pay, spend some spending that I am unable to pay, so that when I sleep, I will sleep. I don't want to wake up at night because 4 people are chasing me for some checks that I have no clue how I'm going to pay them. So I think one of the we haven't come to that yet, but one of the solutions is be grounded. Like yourself and who you are. Don't try to live up to the picture that the world is giving you. It is the greatest and the biggest recipe for heart attack and hypertension. When you want to live up to people's expectations, and you must, all your mates are, especially those who went to girls' schools. You are talking about men here, but this living up to those who went to girls' schools. So when there's an annual reunion, they want to go there in a certain car. When there's an annual speech and prize, they want to show people that they have arrived. Meanwhile, you are on the journey. Why do you want to show people you have arrived? And so you want to use a certain phone that you have no business using. You want to live in a certain place you have no business living. You want to wear some shoes and some dresses that you have no business wearing. And we are talking about men here. But for the lady, you want to wear a wig that you have no business wearing. You are a new teller. You just got to your first job at the bank. You want to wear the hair that the bank manager is wearing. It's a recipe for disaster and BP. So one of the things we need to learn to do is that find meaning and purpose in who you are, not in things. Not in who you are. Jesus gave us a very good example. When he came here, he is the Christ, the Son of the Most High God, and yet he would sleep on a rock. He would sleep in a boat. He didn't care about the trappings of the office.
So it's about learning to abound in a base.
Good.
Would that be a good summary?
Good.
Anyway, Mommy has joined us, says, "Dear Christian brothers, do take off the mask, find your safe space and be vulnerable. I saw my daddy cry a good number of times and I came to realize what issues really got to his heart and moved him. I believe it taught me to respect a man who can be so real to let a few tears run down his face.
That's right.
Appropriately." He said, she added appropriately. Let me add.
Jenny.
Because when a man is crying, the cry, it has to be measured,
I remember once with Uncle Ebo when he said, some women can be heavily and highly offended when a man cries.
Yeah.
And so, he was advising towards how men should be measured before they become so vulnerable to, because certain women, like somebody like Mommy might have seen it and been there, and so she wouldn't mind. But a woman whose philosophy is a man should not cry, as a wife, can be a bit, disorganized when you cry on her.
Yeah, and talking about wives, I think I want to ask Michael, what can the women and the lives of these men do to support them when they observe these signs? Because I'm sure some women are saying, yeah, my husband comes like he's mad at me. I did nothing. He's just mad.
Yeah.
But now we're listening to you, realizing they probably are that season in their lives.
Yeah.
How can the women in their lives support them? The daughters, the sisters, the wives, the mothers. Yeah.
The first is understanding. So understand the stage in which your spouse or your dad is at. And then 2, offer support. Now, when you understand that, for instance, he comes home and, daddy. Charlie.
Yeah.
Understand that it's not about you. Don't take it personal. Because when you take it personal, you will react instead of responding to a deep yearning and a deep need. For instance, this is morning radio, but let's assume that his sexual drive is gone down and for about something he's not touching you. Don't take it personal. Don't begin to question yourself, your womanness, and begin to say that, oh, I suspect. Understand what he's going through and offer support. Now, what you can do, if you can hug him, hug him. If you can hold him, hold him. If you can hold his hands and say, you know what, I know you might be going through some phases or some periods in your life. No wahala. I'm here to support you. Anytime you need me, we can pray together about this. Or if you want to talk about it, I'm happy to listen to you. If you don't want to and want to just, reflect about it and do introspection, I'm there. But just know that I've got you covered. I'm here. So don't take it personal. A lot of women take it personal. When you do that, you aggravate the crisis. Because this is a man who's already in turmoil. He's already, as I said, he's in 3 junctions where he's beginning to do. And when you add your nagging and your this thing and your that thing, because some women go off on their own tangent. And even today, you didn't kiss me in the morning, goodbye when you were going. And then the woman is now nagging and is. When you do that, you aggravate and you push him further away from you. So the other thing is to offer support. I think being active physically helps. And so if it's walks that you can go together, if there's exercises that you can do together at home or wherever you want to go, that just movement, and also being around. Sometimes you may not talk after every plodding that you will make, but on a Saturday leisurely walk around the neighborhood, that atmosphere begins to let him open up. And then he begins to say, you know what? The other day, my boss came to me and said this and this and that, and made me remember 15 years ago, I should have done, So he's living in that, but the atmosphere now makes him talk about it. If you keep nagging, he will continue to shut down and will go and seek advice from a wrong source. So that is what women can do. First, it is not about you. It's not about you. The man is going through his own thing. 2, offer support in the best way that you can. When the man wants to talk, he will talk. So if you push and the talking is not coming, just back off. At the appropriate time, he will. And then create the atmosphere, because this is a period where people are questioning health, a lot of things, identity, value. And so what you can do is to create a certain atmosphere at home that makes it a welcoming sanctuary for the man. If you can do some nice scents in the bedroom to spice things up, if you can change bed sheets as often as you can, if you can do something just to help the man to get there, if you can change put in some flowers to bring some new energy into the living room, it helps. All these
Michael,
things.
Flowers for the men. I said they will like Momo. I'm not sure about the flowers.
Not a single
just
flower.
The atmosphere.
Yeah, but like a flower pot.
The flower pot. My flower pot in the Momo.
Please.
Marvin says, Uncle Mike, I have a question. What about the man who's under some sort of pressure because he's looking over his life and really is supposed to have done more at this point in his life? How does he deal with that? Emotionally, especially.
Jenny, let me quickly add this so that I think we can bundle it all together because of time. Michael, this is a big time for men now that we're talking about this. And so what strategies can men also now, this is the side of the men, what strategies can men also employ to help them go through this phase as well?
Very good. I say that it could be a period of a golden reboot rather than a crisis that spells your emotional and psychological death. So you can use it as a period to start afresh. Letitia and I host a summer camp every year for kids. And I think about 5 years ago, there was this naughty boy when we're in camp. He will wait till the campers sleep around 12 midnight. And then he'll go around and wake all the boys up. He'll wake you and say, start afresh.
Oh, man.
So in the morning, all the boys were very drudgy, and we asked, what happened to you guys? Is it not Kwabna who came to wake us up and said we should start afresh? So I think you can start afresh. See it as a period of renewal, rediscover. If you can have that mindset, you are on the way to win. So first is that don't see it. Yes, you can live in regret and say, yes, I should have made some moves. And we all have that. But do you box yourself there or you use it to pivot? So that's the first thing, that your mindset should be that actually instead of living in regret, I can use it as fuel to be able to pivot. I mean, we know the famous story of Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. He didn't start till 67 or 65.
Yeah.
At 65, that's when his life actually started. And so instead of living in regret, say, okay, now let me give you a little framework for how you can rediscover your purpose if you are going through something like that. First is to do a life assessment. And I encourage you to look at Life Wheel, or the Wheel of Life. It's a very good tool for picking yourself up again. And you can look at Lead Africa's YouTube channel. I think we have the resource there to teach you how to, score yourself on the Wheel of Life, because that is then the baseline for which aspect or area of your life you must make some changes in. That's number one. Number two is just a very simple framework for discovering your purpose again. One, what makes me happy? At what point am I at my happiest? So look over your life for, say, a week. What incidents, instances, events, periods are you at your happiest? It's an indicator for what you must do. So look for that. Now, what makes me angry? What issues, what causes, what stories makes me angry? Touches me at a very deep part of my heart. It's an indicator for your purpose. And then the other, what makes me sad? What makes me sad? So you can also use that as fuel. So list all of these instances and then ask yourself, what can I do within each of these three? Whether what makes you happy, what makes you angry, or what. Anger is fuel. Anger is fuel for changes, because you never change anything you accept. So anytime you are angry, that is when you want to, pick up your life and then make some really serious changes in your life. So you can use that to now discover your purpose. And for instance, if you like children, as I do, if you think that I'm at my happiest when I'm with kids, now how can you turn that into a profession or a business? You can do crèche, you can do after school, you can do so many things within that space of I like children. You can nowadays, there are people who are doing online classes. And so you can have your full-time job and still do 3-hour teaching online for children in your neighborhood. You can do after-school club. You can start something. You can, So just ask yourself, what can I do with what I love? So that is a question. And then so when you find yourself in that space, you realize that you are centered, you are grounded, you are happy, because then you don't have to depend on things or events to make you fulfilled and happy. So that's the first thing that you must do. Then the other one is to be deliberate and intentional about what you do every day. You see, don't just get up and move. Now, I picked up a framework from Michael Hyatt. He said that when you wake up, your first 1 hour should be about you. When you wake up every day, your first 1 hour. And he breaks the first 1 hour of every day into 3. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. First 1 hour. First 20 minutes is spiritual. So do your morning devotion, pray, whatever you want to do, but spiritual. Connect with your God. Next 20 minutes is physical. Do exercise, jump, do something. And you can do exercises in your bedroom. You don't need to go to a gym. Just do something on your compound, whatever. If you live in a compound house, just do it in your room. Next 20 minutes is planning, purpose. What do you want your day? No, how do you want your day to go by the time you are sleeping again? So, just 20, first 1 hour. Don't wake up and immediately go and take your phone and start responding to WhatsApp messages. Plan. When you do that, realize that you live a life of purpose. You live in purpose. Things don't distract you that much. But when you just get up and move, you are at the beck and call of everybody else but you.
Yeah.
And you serve everybody else in your ecosystem but you. Your own dreams you have put off for 5 years because you wake up, your daddy will call you, your elder brother will call you, your sister will call you, your auntie will call you, your boss will call you, your this, that, your former classmates say, let's meet here. And so you are serving everybody but your own dream and your own aspirations. If you can do that every blessed day, you realize that you are living a life of purpose because you know exactly how you want your day to go. Then the next thing to do is, you see, I learned years ago that job is just over broke. Job just over broke. So if you depend on your job alone, you are just borderline. Now you do your job, and I've been an exceptional employee when I was in employment. I pride myself in giving my all to my employer. Now you have 8 to 5 in service of your employer, in service of the employment contract. Serve 200% during that period. But wealth is created between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Wealth is created between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. And so ask yourself, how do I spend that time? Because you've given your 200% to your boss between 8 and 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Now that band, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., a lot of people can't account for it. And if you look critically, it is 1/3 of your life. So most people are maybe 45, but actually you've lived for just 15 years. Because 1/3 of your life, 8 hours, you were sleeping. The other 1/3, 8 hours, you were working. The third 1/3, most people can't account for it. And so if you are 20, know that 7 years, you can't account for that 7 years. It's watching this match here, going to visit that friend here, going to sit at that spot small, going to do that small. And that 1/3 is ebbing away whilst you are living a life of regret. And so if you want to rediscover yourself, ask yourself, what can I do with that time band? Because you can actually, that's why in is it abroad? That's why in the Western country people can do 2 jobs full time.
Yeah.
Yes, because they don't waste time.
Yeah.
They don't waste time at all. That's why they can do 2-3 jobs. And each one they are doing 5 hours here, 7 hours here, 4 hours here. Here, our doctors are very good at that. They call it locum. So he does full 8 hours at a government hospital. And right after that, he catches a 2-hour rest. Another 7 hours at a private. The doctors are really good at utilizing that time. That's why most of them are above broke. But for most of us, we can now, if you want a life of purpose and whatever it is that you want this year to do for you, ask yourself, what can I do between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m.? Don't fry your brain watching a Korean speaking tree. It will not help you, because when you have lived 10 years from today, you will look back and say, why did I spend 3 hours every day?
That Korean didn't help me.
Exactly, watching Indians speaking tree. What did that do for me? Meanwhile, you could have used that to offer extra classes. I mean, I was shocked about a month ago. We were having this conversation with a group of friends at church. And one of them told me that there's actually a law lecturer who teaches law online. And he has 300 students paying him 3,000 cedis.
I don't want to do the calculation.
Exactly.
I don't want to do it.
No, the spirit of envy won't do it. So don't do it.
Wow.
Yes. He said he has 300 students, each paying 3,000, and it's online, 3 hours.
Okay.
You see, that's the principle.
Yeah.
That wealth is created between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Now, when you do this, you realize you don't have time for non-sila.
Yeah.
You don't have time to live in regret. Rather, use the energy, that same energy, to propel you to make some progress.
You know, Johnny, it's important to say that midlife crisis is not for every man. All right?
Yeah.
You will get to that point of crisis when there's a lot for you to do. I'm picking that our wives, our spouses, our family also have got a role to play. Okay. I mean, this is just by the way. I remember once when, I mean, we have our Toyota Corolla in front of the house, and my wife said, come. Hey, Charlie, your neighbors almost out to car for. These guys already have 2 cars. You know, where they don't even have space to park the
That's
two cars,
right.
and their tenta is
Third
sitting in front of another person's house. He's not got a car, and I'm like, okay. It's like when I'm like, I've seen it.
Well, it was a subtle reminder.
You know, it was a subtle reminder.
Look sharp.
It's called peer pressure.
I tell you, you see, these things get men thinking. It got me thinking for a few minutes until I'm like, hey, let me just, So I think our spouses have a big role to play. Support the man, and all these are coming in. Jenny, let me quickly read a few messages on Facebook. I think our time is up. Agbenya Adote said, good morning, JJ and Ajimane, Mr. Effah. And he said, deep insight. Tracy Cecilia said, oh, you've said it all. Volume on that. I miss my dad anytime it's Father's Day because he really took care of us and I was his favorite. I wish he's here to see who I have grown to become. Awesome. Rest in peace. After over 20 years. Now, Tracy is at SIC Insurance. Eugene Samoyao said, Bemansu. It's true. Jenny, there are some messages on WhatsApp. I think we can quickly look at it within the next minute.
Yeah, this one says, what do you do when you can tell that your man is restless, can tell something is amiss, but when you ask, he says it's okay? I think Michael responded to that. Yeah,
resist the temptation to continue to pressure. Just create the enabling environment. When he's ready to talk, he will talk.
Fantastic. And Ajima, if we can just wrap up with Man Cave and then take it from there. Yeah.
Well, Man Cave Festival is up. It's on the 28th of June. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday, the last Saturday in the month of June. It's happening at Alisa Hotel Pavilion.
And I think as you're speaking, sometimes, I don't know whether it's the same for men, because for us women, we go through some things and sometimes we feel we're alone. So maybe you open up to someone, realize that, it's not just me. Amma, Kosia, Bana, Sheila, Maggie, all of them, same thing. How is it like when men come together? I mean, as we're preparing for Man Cave Fest, I'm just wondering what it's like for men also. Do you also feel like you're alone?
Jenny, I'll go back to Man Cave, first Man Cave edition at Canwin Hotel. And there was a breakout session for the men. And Michael, we spoke, we opened up. We cried, which surprised me. I mean, a lot of us men cried.
Wow.
And then when we came back to the table tennis and stuff, we came back together again and said, let's go finish up the conversation. I mean, the session was over, so we had to talk to the almost, listen, we want to go back.
Because I think the designated time was an hour. Only for the men
we
to say
finished
it was not enough.
And went back in to have the conversations. I saw men talk about similar issues we're talking about now. They stage. I mean, some men were talking about the regrets. They think they should have done more. Some men were talking about the pressures they're going in through, decisions about where their children should go to school. Some men were living above their means and they were asking for help. How can they kind of readjust themselves and downsize and go back home and find the best way to readjust their families to the right path. It was a very revealing time for us men.
I'm excited that Michael gets to join us, and if Mike, you can share with us for the women listening, for the men listening who are thinking maybe this will be a safe space for my husband, for the men themselves, you're going to be what are you looking forward to, who are you looking to see at the Man Cave Fest where you're having your Man Cave
every man above 18. I'm expecting to see every man above 18, because if you are starting life, it's good and better for you to start it on the right track. Don't go and make some decisions and regret 10 years from today. So it's good to get the template, so that you can avoid the pitfalls, the mistakes, and the regrets of the older men. And if you are around my age, around Ajima's age, it's good to course correct and then to make some decisions that will help you to get back on track. As I said, around this time, we are all looking at 3 roads. Now, how do you navigate? What indicators must you use to navigate these 3 routes? You are going to get the help, the support, the network around conversations like this. Years ago, somebody called it mastermind. When you can get like-minded people to connect, to share, and to be yourself. It's a mastermind. And it's one of the things we need to do as men. Men, we connect easily, we bond easily, but it's all very surface. You know, that's in fact, there's a joke that a man can be friends with somebody for 2 years and still not know his name, because when they meet, it's massa, chief, massa, chief,
boss,
and they are her boss. They will be like that for 2 years. But they can, so we men relate a lot, but it's all surface level. We don't get to do the deep level stuff. We talk around football matches. We talk around events, but we don't get to open our inner core. I think Man Cave presents an opportunity to get to open your inner core, to seek help, to connect with people sharing your pain, sharing your aspirations, and say, you know what, how did you do it? How can I do this? Maybe your children are young. Children are teens. They can give you a few tricks that will help you to not make, life mistakes. So this is an invaluable opportunity. When we had Fathers Lifting Fathers just about 2 weeks ago, it was interesting, what we did, 18 men in some woods in a bridge. So this is an opportunity to come back together again. Let us cry, let us laugh, let us play, let us learn, and let us grow together. You won't get these things if you were to come to me for personal coaching or consultation. You pay 10 times. You pay 10. No, it's not me. It's not me.
Time no cry. The schedule.
It's not me. It's not my children go to international school. So it's the children.
It's not me.
So, men, it's the 28th of June. For us, when it comes to celebrating men, we look beyond the Father's Day where we are serving them good food. We want to give them an experience that will last them a lifetime, where they're able to network, they're able to get some impacting solutions for their lives. That is why we've come out with the Man Cave Fest, the ultimate men's hangout. 28th of June, of course, the honest conversations you're having, sumptuous buffet lunch from Alisa. There's free health screening. There'll be fun games and activities, amazing prizes to be won, networking, and this free prostate screening is for the first 10 people to register. First 10 people. All this is happening at Alisa Pavilion. We have discounts for men's groups. So for the men's ministry presidents, you're listening, you're thinking this will be a good place for my men to come out and speak. You may pick up a few things that have been going on with your men, but I just didn't know what's happening. But you may pick them up at Man Cave and then go back to church or your ministry and see how you can fully attend to some of these issues. So please register latest by the 25th of June. Don't come alone. Invite the men in your life. Bring a brother, a dad, your uncle, that impactful father figure. You can call or WhatsApp this number to register as 024 366 4623 0243 664 623.
Jen, let me quickly put my number up.
Sure,
okay,
sure,
if
sure,
you're a men's group and you want us to talk man to man and see how we can put a package together for you, call 0558 301006. That is 0558 301006, and let's talk about your group, your men, how we can all come together at Man Cave.
Yeah, and yes.
Some idea just dropped when you say men's groups. I think some women's fellowship, women's groups can also come together and sponsor a few men.
That would be amazing.
So if you are a women's group,
Yeah.
come together, especially if you think that there are a few colleagues, a few friends, a few church members that I think will need something like that. Come together, pull your resources together, and sponsor 10, 20 men to come. They will be thankful to you for the rest of their lives. But before you sign off, I have this quote I want to leave.
Yes,
It says that life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important. Capture the good times. Develop from the negatives. And if things don't work out, you can always take another shot.
We're going to take another shot by wrapping up. We'll continue with
Yes, Jenny, let me chip in.
the ManCode conversation
So
tomorrow.
our family from TNU are also
They
coming.
are also
so hang on,
in,
don't
so
go
yes,
away.
yes.
I mean, they're celebrating 10 years. They've got some amazing stuff they're doing this coming Saturday. So they're coming up right next.
So we're excited about today, what we've had to share. We hope that sons will say, I saw my dad during his midlife crisis. This is how he handled it. This is what I've learned.
Yeah.
And so I know that I can also sail through that season of my life. So I just want to share this song for him. It says, "A Man You Would Write About." Michael, thank you.